Here we go.
Bullshit!
Anonymity.
Why didn't you stop it?
Those are my popsicles!
In composing attitude, so to speak.
The way my ancestors did.
Bartov and Belcher.
Have your troops
Vilify.
Andy, are you goofing on Elvis? Hey, baby, are you having fun?
Earlier this year, Sean suggested to his audience that we take up making content to help constitute a wider spread of leftist ideas and information. The justification for our action in this matter being a direct response to the unusually widespread adoption of conservative and far-right rhetoric in my generation. The right and center have both cornered out a large amount of space for them to congregate, discuss their ideas, formulate action plans, and inform and indoctrinate anyone who is not immediately hostile to their beliefs. These can be spaces for, but are not limited to, poorly constructed bad faith criticism, hate groups disguising their actions as satire, thinly veneered consumer-based harassment collectives, propaganda arms of systemic oppressors, and more. The spaces reactionaries recruit from are already filled with their most common demographics, and it does not take much for them to inflame a space with enough hate that it becomes uninhabitable by anyone other than the non-oppressed base. Often accomplished through a co-opting of leftist rhetoric to convince the group that they are themselves victims of oppression. The right's overexuberance to evangelize is not matched with equal fervor on the left, and for understandable reasons. Just recently have many minority groups on the left gained a modicum of respect in the world. This disadvantage concerning privilege of movement within politics and society denotes our arrestation in expressing interests to anywhere near the extent of that afforded to conservatives. Additionally, the minorities that adhere to progressive ideals that do have spaces in which to congregate hold those spaces for a mutual decompression from systemic hatred, made to be shared primarily with people who are in the community that space is designated for. These are not meant to be classrooms, not just because inviting in potentially pollutant, purposefully antagonistic figures for educational purposes could put the space at risk, but because the wider progressive community cannot presume ownership of and movement through that space. Furthermore, online safe spaces for discussing and evangelizing leftist thought are equally in question due to the stymieing of conversation and education being available to disingenuous reactionaries at all times, a problem only exacerbated when the most powerful platformers refuse to regulate the inflammation of hate on their platforms. Lastly, even if the left had a place, online or off, in which we could freely dispense and discuss our ideas, it would not be adopted by those unengaged people who are not already sympathetic to our message. The right's fierce anti-intellectualism is unfortunately more seductive than learning things like that you, as a participant in systems of oppression, can be held accountable for that oppression. So, with all that in mind, how am I responding to Sean, and what am I doing with this channel?
At all the buildings across the... It's Michael Stipe!
Well, I think that's our in. I think that art is the classroom of the left. The act of creation, the act of criticism, finding new ways of diversifying and interpolating disparate elements, and pushing previously held conceptions are all tools of our ideologies. The endless questioning of ourselves and the world around us through those tangible efforts, that is how we contribute our ideas. With every video, I want to broach a topic, whether it be political, philosophical, technical, accidental, and look at how specific examples in a medium handles it. Topics like fascism, color theory, editing, isolation, or anything else that demands discussion, and see how comic portrays it versus how film portrays it, to music, dance, sculpture, and so on. With every installment, I hope that another space in which leftists can go and become a broader collection of people opens. I hope that viewers are emboldened by reflections of themselves in the subjects, going out with confidence that they can create something of their own action. And I hope that people who hate me because of this aim will keep watching and sympathize with what I'm trying to say. Anyways, with all of that out of the way, I'm calling this series Abstract Thoughts. And until I have a camera, this is what I look like.